Hi there, and thanks everybody for tuning in to our latest edition of the Pamplin podcast. I'm Jen Carty, the Associate Director for Career Services and Employer Relations here in Pamplin. I have a special guest joining me this morning. Jen Weeks is a national college recruiter with GEICO, and she is here to share with you all some tips and tricks and best practices for following up with recruiters that you meet, connections that you've made, particularly after events like Business Horizons, but this will certainly be useful information for any events in which you're making those connections. So I assume all of you on the line here have probably recently been to the career fair or have one upcoming and are hoping to learn a little bit more about how to properly follow up. So Jen, if you are ready at this time, I will go ahead and turn things over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate the introduction. Can everybody see my screen? Jen, can you see my screen?
I can't see it just yet.
Okay. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Awesome. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to call in today. I hope that you find this presentation valuable. And if you have any questions after the presentation, don't hesitate to reach out. I will share my contact information once we're done. But today, like Jen said, I would like to give you some tips and tricks on how to follow up after not only Business Horizons, but after any career fair or any interaction that you have with a recruiter. So today we're going to cover things that you should have done before the career fair, things that you should be doing during the career fair, and then the things that you have left after a career fair. For any reason, if you missed any of the things on the before the career fair list or during the career fair list, don't worry. I'm going to let you know how you can check those off your list now that the career fair has wrapped up. And then I'll give you a little bit of information on GEICO and the opportunities that we have available, and I'll set some time aside for any questions that you might have. So before the career fair, you'll want to research on who's attending. You'll want to know what companies have registered to attend the career fair, and typically you can find out what companies are attending by going online and checking out the employer list. If you cannot locate the employer list, don't hesitate to reach out to someone in career services, and they can provide the list of employers to you. This list is available several weeks before the career fair, so you don't have to wait until the day before or 2 days before. You can actually start working on it as soon as possible. After you have the list, you'll want to make a plan and create an A list and a B list. You'll want to create a list of the employers that you're mostly interested in. So you want to make sure that you're making the most out of your time and that you're as effective as possible. So make a plan and stick to it. Your A list are the companies that you're mostly interested in, companies that you've heard about, and companies that attract you. On your B list, you'll want to put companies that you're interested in, but maybe you don't know that much about them. Maybe you don't know what opportunities they have, and you weren't able to get a lot of information online. So you definitely want to make sure that you start off with these two groups of employers. Now, before the career fair, you also want to review. Give me 1 second. I apologize. I don't know if we're having somebody sharing their screen. Sorry about that. Technology. Jen, can you see my screen okay?
I think we have, I think someone on the call actually ended up sharing their screen. I'm going to flip it on my end. Sorry about that, Jen.
No problem.
All right. Hold on just 1 second. All right, Jen, I'm sending the controls back your way.
Awesome. I think we're back in business. All right. Are we okay?
Yeah, it looks good on my end. Sorry about that.
Awesome, no problem. So we were at review and edit your resume. You'll want to do this before the fair. Be careful not to be handing out any outdated versions of your resume or a specific, tailored resume that you had for a company that you previously had submitted. Sometimes the objective, you'll have it tailored to a specific company. You want to make sure that you're not using that version of your resume. You'll also want to take some time to review and edit your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, this is the perfect time for you to work on one is before the career fair. You'll want to update any projects or any organizations that you're involved with. And on LinkedIn, there's also an opportunity for you to update a copy of your resume onto your profile. Of course, that's optional. If you don't have that option or you would not like that option, it's completely okay. I would just recommend that your experience is up to date. So while you're working on LinkedIn, you'll also want to take this opportunity to research and make connections. So when I say research and make connections, I'm referring it back to the employers. You'll want to research maybe who the recruiter is for that company and go ahead and add them on your LinkedIn, make a connection with them through LinkedIn. And you'll want to do this before the fair. So you'll want to go back to your A and B list and then start working down the list. You can also take this time before the career fair to ask your friends, your family, and faculty if they have, if they know anyone from the company. So professors and faculty at Career Services have a lot of connections. Don't be afraid to ask them. Don't be afraid to network. A lot of the employers, I know myself, I'm on campus, a couple of days before the career fair, so you want to take advantage of any network opportunity that might be happening before the big day. And as simple as it sounds, you'll want to lay out your clothes and your portfolio with different resumes. You don't want to have to be rushing the morning of, so it's just nice to know what you're going to be wearing, and you just feel a lot more relaxed and not so stressed out. So the big day is here. So during the fair, you'll want to refer back to that list and follow your plan. So your plan is that A and B list. A plan is not effective, we all know, unless you stick to it. So don't get distracted. Don't let your friends influence what booths you go to just because they want someone to come with them, or maybe they don't feel as comfortable going by themselves, or they don't want to stand in that long line by themselves. Stick to your plan. Remember, this is for your success. So bring your A list, your B list, and get the map, know where the employers are going to be at, and stick to your plan. You'll also, during the career fair, want to track what booths you visited. So you want to know what companies have you spoken to, and then also what opportunities they have available. For any reason, if time runs out, I know the career fair is, business horizons is several hours, but if something comes up, an emergency, you have to leave early, maybe you have a class or, work. For any reason, if time runs out, you'll want to be able to pick up wherever you left off after the fair. So if you didn't get to visit XYZ company, you'll want to know that, and I'll tell you why and how that's important on the next slide. Along with keeping track, you'll want to jot down some notes about the conversations that you had with the different representatives and the different recruiters from these companies. Making notes will be to your benefit when you start to follow up after the career fair. So notes can include things like, obviously, the name of the company, the name of the representative you spoke to, the positions that they have available, maybe the locations of their office. And if you guys shared something, a conversation that was personal to you, or something that was tailored to you, maybe there was a comment around like a blouse or some shoes or something that's personable. Maybe you guys grew up in the same area. You want to jot that down, and you can refer to it when you follow up after the career fair. Lastly, during the career fair, you also want to ask for a business card. If the recruiter or the representative doesn't have a business card, sometimes there is times that managers or associates that work for this company that are not necessarily recruiters attend the events with us. Sometimes they don't have a business card with them. Don't worry, don't be afraid to ask just for an email and jot that email down. You want to ask them also if they're on LinkedIn, and then just set that expectation that you're going to be following up with them. We as recruiters get hundreds of resumes, especially at an event like Business Horizons, because there's so many students that come out, and we want to make sure that if for any reason it's taking us, you know, a week to follow up, that we can count on you to kind of reach out to us as well, and that also shows us how interested you are on our company and the opportunities. The career fair, if you have done everything that we just spoke about, on the left-hand side of the on the left-hand side of this PowerPoint slide, you'll see the things that you have left to do if you did everything we already talked about. If you didn't do it, the things that we talked about, don't worry, this is the time to make up some of the things that you might have missed. The things on the right are things that we spoke about earlier on the things that you should have done before or during, and I'll tell you how you can get those done at this time after the fair. So pretty simple. Before the fair, if you missed on reviewing your resume or reviewing your LinkedIn, make sure you do that. If you are going to tailor your resume to specific companies, make sure you are mindful of how you're saving it so that when you attach it to an email, you're attaching the correct resume. For your LinkedIn, I spoke about the opportunity to upload a resume. If you don't have that, making sure that you're just being as specific as possible and including projects such as capstone projects or prior internships that you've had, as well as any organizations that you're involved with on campus. Research and making connections, I'm actually going to show you from my own personal LinkedIn on how you can access recruiters' information on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great source for you to use for networking, but if for any reason, maybe you misplaced a business card or you weren't able to finish your A-list and your B-list, you can go back to LinkedIn and find the company or the recruiter that you're looking for. So I'm going to exit out of the PowerPoint. I'm going to just go to my home page of my LinkedIn profile. Jen, I'm just going to verify with you that it's working.
Yep, I see your LinkedIn page.
Okay. So when you sign in, LinkedIn's going to take you to the home page. The top search bar is an opportunity for you to use keywords to look up companies or certain students or peers that have an account. So I'm going to show you, today I'm going to take a couple minutes to show you an opportunity on how you can use LinkedIn to do a Boolean search. So let's say GEICO was on your B list and for whatever reason you ran out of time, you weren't able to speak to them. But you're interested and you know that you are interested in going back home to Texas. You'll want to type in a keyword such as recruiter with Boolean searches. You'll want to use the word and or. So I'm looking for a recruiter and I want them to work for GEICO. And I know I'm interested in going back home to Texas. You do a search. And you can then search, then you go through the list of the recruiters that comes up. And right under the name of the recruiter, you should see in a grayed out area, the area or territory that they service. So I know my peers, I know that Michael is a regional college recruiter, so is Sam. They service our recruiting efforts for Texas. So at that time, that's when you would want to go in and shoot them a message or make that connection. So you can do that, clicking on their profile. So we could try again. You can use just simple words. Try one that I haven't tried today. Let's do talent and GEICO. Maybe you're open to any location. You'll see again other recruiters, talent acquisition advisor. Brandon is a national recruiter, so you'll see several recruiters that come in after you do that Boolean search. So it's very important that you track your list. and that you keep a copy of your list, don't misplace it. You'll want to have that list handy even after the career fair. So we should be back at the PowerPoint presentation now. All right, so we talked about if you don't have a business card, using your resources. Another great resource is Career Services. They have a list of different contacts for different employers. So just make sure that you're using your resources, you're reaching out to any professors. Sometimes professors will welcome employers to speak, in classrooms, and they have certain contacts with certain companies. Your friends, they all come from different backgrounds and different experiences. You might know somebody from an organization or somebody in your class that interned with that company previously. Don't be afraid to ask and network, ask for a point of contact. Even maybe if the person doesn't feel comfortable handing out the employer's contact, let them know, hey, here's my phone number, here's my resume, do you mind passing it along? Do you mind sharing my information with them? And then reaching out through LinkedIn and doing that follow-up is going to be important. Regardless of the outcome, so regardless of, whether or not you get an offer, how things go, remember that you still made a connection and you've met someone that could possibly help you in the future. So just because things don't work out right away, you don't get an immediate offer, you weren't selected for an internship, keep in touch. It's so important. You never know how or who you're going to be working for in the future. And just remember that you'll want to keep in touch, because just because you weren't selected for that internship doesn't mean that you're not qualified or a great candidate for a full-time offer. Unfortunately, things like internships are very selective. They're only hiring a certain amount of people, but you may be qualified, you may be a strong candidate, so you never know, with that full-time offer. A lot of companies are now moving towards making early offers and extending offers upon, contingent upon graduation. So continue to keep in touch with the representative and just let them know, hey, do you mind keeping me in mind for any future opportunities? Now, if you did everything on the list that I mentioned earlier, I also said the only things that you have left is the things on your left-hand side. So you'll want to follow up after the career fair with either an email or, as old school as it sounds, a thank you card. I've been in recruiting for over 3.5 years, and I can tell you the people that have followed up with a thank you card, like a handwritten thank you card, definitely stand out. It's been a handful of students who have done that, but I've been very impressed with just them taking the time to, write 4 or 5 lines to thank me. It really makes a lasting impression. You'll also want to connect with them on LinkedIn if you haven't already done so. Remember, that's something you're telling the representative or the recruiter at the career fair. You're letting them know that you're going to follow up. You're asking if they have a LinkedIn account, so just make sure that you follow through with that step. And then after applying, follow up again. So it's not excessive if you're following up, after the career fair. Let's say the career fair happened Wednesday, on Wednesday night or even Thursday morning, I would email the recruiter, say, Jennifer, it was great meeting you at Business Horizons yesterday. I appreciate you sharing the information on the Management Development Program. I'm going to be applying to this position tonight or tomorrow, whenever you're going to be applying. You apply, and then you follow up and say, Jennifer, I just wanted to make you aware, I went ahead and submitted my application specifically for the location in Texas or specifically for the location in San Diego, whatever location, whatever position, office you're applying for. That way, if Jennifer is not that, the recruiter for that specific area or that office, they can route your resume, or excuse me, they can route your email to their appropriate recruiter. So that happens very often. Because we have so many offices across the country, and a lot of companies have a lot of offices across the country, that recruiter might not be the only recruiter for that company. So if you have an email, the recruiter can then take that email and forward it to their peer and say, hey, Sally, I met John Doe at Business Horizons, great candidate. We had a good conversation. They ended up applying for your location. I just wanted to personally pass on the information to you. So now you have another person being an advocate for you, and recruiter number 2 now is seeing that interaction and that follow-up just as much as recruiter number 1. So you'll want to follow up again, or if you could pick up the phone. It is recruiting season. A lot of us are traveling and are on the road, so my recommendation would be an email or a LinkedIn. So I want to just wrap up. Those are the tips I had for you with things that you should be doing before, during, and after a career fair. I want to tell you a little bit about GEICO. We are part of the Berkshire Hathaway family, so we are under the leadership of Warren Buffett, and we are now the second largest insurance company. We surpassed Nationwide a few years ago. I've been with GEICO for 6.5 years now, and I was fortunate enough to experience when we went from number 3 to number 2. And over the weekend, so just a couple of days ago, we reached 15 million policy holders. So that's an exciting milestone for us. And we now have over 35,000 associates countrywide. We do have, like I mentioned, we have major offices across the country, but we do offer opportunities in every state. And then what all that means to you is that there's just more opportunities in regards to internships and programs, analysts, actuary, and IT positions. So if you are interested in learning more, don't hesitate to reach out again. This is a map of our different offices. So if you're interested in going to the West Coast, you would have that opportunity as well. And on this last slide is my contact information. Again, email is probably the best way to reach me. However, I have listed my corporate cell phone number. You can reach me through phone, through text, whatever is going to be easier for you. And we are also in different platforms. So there is YouTube videos that you can watch and learn more about our opportunities. YouTube is a great source also if you're just trying to get some tips and tricks on, interviewing or resumes. That's a great source to use. We have a Twitter account, a Facebook account, and of course, all of your recruiters are on LinkedIn. But I'll take some time to answer any questions that you might have for me at this point.
Hey, Jen, thanks for all that information. I did get a couple of questions, and so would love to get your perspective on the appropriate answers for these, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, great. The first question is, if we have not followed up yet, I'm assuming that's meaning from like a career fair last week. Is it too late? And if not, how would you recommend following up after a week of meeting a recruiter?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not too late. Even if it's a week later, you'll want to do it versus not doing it at all. So a way, I'm going to refer back to what I spoke on earlier, connecting on LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, create one. There's going to be a lot of recruiters on campus and a lot of career fairs to come, network opportunities, so it'll come in handy later on. So you can connect through LinkedIn with the recruiter. You can also follow up through email. When you follow up through email, I am also going to suggest that you attach a resume again, even if you left it at the booth or you handed it to the recruiter, attach that electronic copy to that email so that the recruiter has immediate access to it and they don't have to refer back to that pile of resumes that they got. A lot of companies are also moving to not taking paper resumes and maybe just taking a picture of it. So the more times you present your resume to them, or the easier you make it accessible to them, the better it will be. So when you follow up your email, say, Jennifer, it was great meeting you. It's been a week. I wanted to follow up, let you know that I will be applying for this position by this time. So set an expectation. Give them as much information as you possibly can. Let them know what position you're interested in. Let them know when you're going to be applying. If the position has certain requirements, let's say they have a GPA requirement, attach a copy of your unofficial transcripts. It's going to expedite the process for you so that the recruiter doesn't go back and ask for those things, such as your resume or transcripts. Make it easier for them to push you through the hiring process quicker than anybody else.
Great, thank you. And just one other kind of rolls into, I think, what you're saying. So if we're following all of the steps that you suggested, have followed up appropriately, apply for the job, and then follow up letting the recruiter know I've applied, if we do not hear anything after submitting that application, is it appropriate to follow up again? And if so, how much time should we put in between there, and what is the appropriate method?
Great question. So when you follow up after you're letting the recruiter know that you've gone ahead and submitted an application, or even at the career fair, it's also a great opportunity for you to set some expectations or to get some expectations from the recruiters and their representatives. So ask them, you know, what is your hiring process like? Hey, I understand that this is a busy season for you. When will you all be making a decision, or what does the next step look like? So that way you'll have a clear expectation, or in the email, if you didn't do it at the career fair and you don't ask what the next steps are or what that process looks like, ask it in the email. Don't be afraid to say, now I went ahead and I submitted an application. Let me know if there's anything else you need from me. How long, or what should I expect? How long should I hear? When should I hear back from you? Excuse me. When should I hear back, or what are the next steps? So that you know. And if you don't hear back from them within the 72 hours or 48 hours or 5 days, whatever they give you, it's okay to follow up with them at that point as well, to say, I applied, it's been X amount of days, I just wanted to follow up, see if there was anything that you need from me. Or even a quick phone call at that time is acceptable as well.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much for answering those questions, and thanks, Jen, for all this great information. That's all the questions I have today. So this is going to wrap our Pamplin podcast and our edition on following up with companies and recruiter contacts. So big thank you again to Jen and GEICO for presenting all this great information. Students, if you have any follow-up questions that were not addressed today, please feel free to shoot me an email or stop by and ask me any questions that you have, and we'll do our best to address those. So thanks again, everyone. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Jen.